Hello. This video is to serve as my own summary of the third chapter of Learning from a Stranger by David Smith. I will summarize the main points, share my agreements and disagreements, as well as identify a theory that supports a major premise of the reading. In chapter 3, titled On Loving Foreigners, Smith begins to tie the first few chapters all together. Where those chapters helped one understand and be aware of our own thought processes and biases, how we become who we are and what influences that, and how to be cautious in not seeing other perspectives and being closed-minded, this chapter leads into the so what. Now that we understand differences, how they become, and why it is important to value them, Smith gets into loving on others. We can now take this understanding of who we are and how to value who others are and put that together. Simply understanding what makes me who I am and that people are all different is not enough. We must then think, what can we do with this new knowledge? How can we improve interactions based on what we know about ourselves and others? Smith bases this chapter on Luke 10, verses 25 through 37, where Jesus tells us, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all of your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." The scripture tells us what to do with this new knowledge and understanding of people. Love your neighbor. Unlike trying to understand the norm, which we learned in Smith's third chapter was complicated, Smith showed us that loving your neighbor could be simple. It is people who complicate things, and much like the scribe in the story, we often question simple direction to try to get out of something we may be biased against or we simply don't want to do. We ask clarifying questions and hope to get out of the full assignment, to get the answer that we're looking for rather than just take the direction. When we apply this command to the parable of the Good Samaritan, we can see how loving the neighbor is simply loving everyone, regardless of who we believe they are to be. We must be able to exercise our understanding of biases and differences and love unconditionally. I love that Smith talks about how even when loving others, we must keep an open mind and try to understand the perspective of the receiver. We may have all experienced poor results even when our intentions are pure and good. This can be because we only wanted to love without considering our differences and the feelings of the one who would receive the love. I thought Smith's note of Amy Oden's view on this was perfect. Amy noted that when we view ourselves as the hero and the receiver as the victim, it is seductive and it can be dangerous. A would-be act of hospitality becomes an act of condescension when we fail to see the stranger as Christ. In my mind, the question of who is my neighbor was simple. Jesus could have simply answered everyone. Instead, the story unfolds with Jesus redirecting the question, questioning the question, and addressing the intent of the scribe slowly and methodically to hit each point that needed to be made. Because of this, I feel I was much better able to understand the answer and the point that was being made, and I do not disagree with any of it. One theory that comes to mind with this chapter is relationship-oriented leadership theory, because it describes a leader who is primarily motivated by and concerned with their interactions with people. In loving the neighbor, we need to have a concern for others, and we must be conscious of our interactions with them. In being conscious, we not only act in our desire to please God and love one another, but we keep in mind that our idea of love is not the only way. It guides us to listen to the recipient and truly understand their needs before taking action to show love. I'm excited to see where Smith takes us next in this book. Thank you.